I'm Barb Pesic, campus recruiter, and I've worked as part of the talent acquisition team at Baird for 4 years and have worked in various companies and roles within talent acquisition for over 10 years. I have the pleasure of recruiting interns for various areas within Baird and also help facilitate our summer internship program. Caitlin?
Thanks, Barb. Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Holiday, campus recruiter at Baird as well, and I have been at Baird in this role for 3 years now. My career experience has been primarily in staffing recruiting and corporate recruiting for the past 7 years, and I work very closely with Barb and also help to recruit interns across the firm and also help to facilitate our summer internship program.
We'd like to focus the conversation around the career fair success cycle and something that you could maybe apply, to these upcoming career fairs or events happening on campus. So let me walk you through, what this cycle actually looks like. So the first thing we'd encourage you to do is really prepare for success and really emphasize we really want to emphasize being well prepared going into these conversations with employers to maximize the positive impact they can have on you. Next, it's important to make a great positive first impression. Next, establishing rapport. Really, how do you get into a conversation that represents yourself well and builds rapport with the recruiter or associate attending the fair on behalf of the firm? Next is the importance of demonstrating passion. So when you're talking with an employer, they are meeting with sometimes hundreds of students throughout the recruiting cycle, and passion is one of those things that can really help you stand out. Every organization wants you to bring passion to the conversation. Intellectual curiosity. This is one of the best ways that you can set yourself apart, and this can be demonstrated through asking thoughtful questions. And then at the end of the conversation, we'd like to discuss what is the appropriate way to close a conversation and then how to follow up, on next steps if you're interested in a particular organization. So next, I'm going to pass it on to Caitlin to talk about preparing for success.
Thanks, Barb. So to get into the first steps here are just some tips to help you prepare for success for different career fairs and campus events coming up. So first, we suggest to complete and update your handshake profile and resume, making sure that this is fully complete and up to date with your most up-to-date information and experience. Your handshake profile helps you get personalized recommendations based on your profile and interests that you select for upcoming events. And employers will also use your profile fields to find students to invite to their events or to share different job and internship opportunities with you directly. So when going through your handshake profile, we suggest to check all the basics, making sure those are accurate, selecting the job types, locations, and roles that interest you, so the recruiters know which jobs and internships are a good fit for you. Adding your courses, any skills, and previous work experience is really helpful. And then a number one kind of tip to share for your handshake profile that we would like to share with you is adding a bio. So if this is done well, this is very helpful for employers and recruiters to learn a little bit more about you, and it really does help set your profile apart from others. So for example, as Barb mentioned, we have some internships that are open on Major, and based on information that students have shared in their bios before that are really well written, could include extra information on additional experience outside of the classroom or work, personal projects that people are working on, or even leadership experience. This additional information has helped us identify candidates for those positions based on additional information provided in that bio. And having your resume up to date and ready to share is really important as well. So you have the option to upload and update your resume and your handshake profile, which employers find very helpful just to have additional information aside from your handshake profile. And it's also important to have this updated and ready to share with employers, both electronically and having physical copies ready to hand out to employers at career fairs as well. If you don't have a resume, You can utilize some online resources provided by career services. For example, they have sample resumes and resume templates available on the career services website. And if you have a resume together and just want to make sure that it's perfect and ready to be shared, you can schedule a meeting with a career counselor on campus to have your resume reviewed prior to the fair as well. So some employers may opt to collect resumes electronically and not collect physical copies of your resumes. But at Baird, we do prefer to still collect physical copies of your resumes at career fairs. So we suggest to print some copies of your resumes and bring them with you to career fairs. And Career Services also offers to print up to 10 copies of your resume if you do visit the Career Services Center as well. So they're there to help you out and help you get prepared as well. Our second tip for you is to review your options. So really review the employers that are attending the career fair. You can see this information on Handshake. And our advice is to create an A and a B list for the employers that you are interested in. This will help you stay organized and help you to kind of know your options of the employers that you must talk to and really want to talk to. And your B list is other employers that you're still interested in speaking with as well. So for example, if your A list employers have some longer lines to meet with a representative from the company, you could go and meet with an employer that's on your B list instead of just waiting in line to really get the most out of your time at the career fair. Number 3, we would say is stay organized. So really organize and plan for your time at the career fair. Aside from knowing the employers that you want to meet with, also think of the best way for yourself to stay organized. We suggest having a padfolio to keep your resumes, a pen, and your notebook in. And if you don't have a padfolio, Career Services, they do offer rentals for padfolios on a first come, first served basis. So go visit Career Services, get your resume reviewed and printed, and also borrow a padfolio for the career fair. If you don't have a padfolio, it's definitely okay just to use a nice folder to keep all of your items in. But either way, having a folder or padfolio would really help you, again, just to kind of stay organized with the items you're already bringing, but also you'll have a place then to put any handouts or information that you receive from employers at the career fair as well. We also recommend being proactive. So aside from just reviewing the employers that are attending, take it one step further and look at the jobs that are posted for the employers of interest. We encourage you to apply in advance to the career fair if there are positions of interest, and this offers a good talking point when meeting with those employers as well. Lastly, to help you prepare for success is to do your research. So get to know more about the employers on your list by reviewing their company website, their social media channels, their LinkedIn page, and even you could go as far as searching campus recruiters at those companies to help you prepare on who you could possibly be meeting with at the career fair. We also suggest to prepare 1 to 3 questions that you want to ask employers, and it is okay to have those questions written down in your notebook, in your padfolio or folder to refer back to, and you may have different questions depending on the employers that you want to meet with or the positions of interest. It's also okay to write down notes when you are speaking with an employer to just jot down important information or tips or tricks that they give you as well during your conversation. We appreciate students who are well prepared when speaking with us at career fairs and events, and employers are there to share information about their company and answer questions with you. But we also expect students to have done some research and be a little bit familiar with our company as well. Next up is a positive first impression. So you've probably heard the saying before that you never get a second chance at making a first impression. So here's some best practices to share on helping you really make the best first impression that you can. First is dress professionally. It is important to dress professionally, Not only will wearing your favorite outfit make a good first impression, it will also help boost your confidence and you'll feel more comfortable as well. While a suit and dressing business professional is, of course, preferred, employers also understand that students may have some limitations to your options of what to wear based on what you have at school with you. So, at a minimum, we do recommend dressing business casual, such as dress pants and a nice button down shirt, even with a tie for men. And for women, dress pants or an appropriate length skirt with a nice blouse or even a professional dress with a blazer if you do have one. We also always suggest wearing comfortable yet professional shoes that you are comfortable wearing while walking around and standing throughout the career fair. I know this from personal experience. I wore really cute high heel shoes to my first career fair as an employer years ago. And even though I wasn't walking around as much as students were, I learned very quickly that comfortable and professional shoes are much more important than what I think is the cutest style at the time. Next tip is to maintain eye contact. So during your conversations, smile, pay attention to your posture and your body language, as well as those that you are speaking with. Consider smiling and nodding occasionally and maintaining that eye contact as well. This will really show the employer your confidence and that you are engaged in the conversation. Next, talk to the employers one on one. With the exception of freshmen and it being your first career fair, we do recommend attending the fair independently and entering the career fair space on your own, not with a group of friends. So, although there are so many employers and so many students there, it is something that employers do kind of recognize when groups of students are walking in together. So, being able to kind of be on your own and approach employers independently definitely does show a great level of confidence in yourself. Especially for freshmen, though, we do understand that you may be with a buddy walking around the career fair, and that is okay. And also that you might be attending the career fair, maybe more for just networking and gaining some professional experience versus looking for a internship or a job opportunity. And we do understand that, and we really appreciate you as a freshman coming to the career fair and putting yourself out there right away as well. Last best practice to share on first impressions is just being mindful of others. So at career fairs, be respectful of the amount of time that you're spending with an employer representative. If there is a line of students behind you, really try and keep that conversation concise and follow the employer's cues for closing out the conversation as well. Next up is establishing rapport. So let's talk about how do we do this with an employer and how do we get a conversation started at a career fair? So first, we would say to start with your introduction. So similar to what you would have in your elevator pitch, you would share your name, year in school, major, and express your interest. So whether that is why you're interested in the company or your interest in a specific role and why, or even in doing your research, maybe you found an aspect of the company that you learned about through your research as well. One tip that we have to share for this is that when you are introducing yourself at the career fair, end your intro with a question to really start the conversation. Ask about something maybe about open positions that they have currently, or what is their recruiting timeline. You could even ask about the employer's personal career path or what they like best about working at their company. This is a great way to start having a normal and human conversation and interaction. A great example of an introduction is this for you. So my name is Margaret, a junior studying political science, and I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you today. I'm particularly interested in Baird's operations internship because of X, Y, and Z. And then insert a question to close out your introduction to help get the conversation started. Another tip we have for you is to really practice. The more you practice your introduction out loud, the more comfortable you will be the day of the fair sharing that with employers. Practice saying it in front of a mirror, FaceTime your parents, or practice with a roommate. We know that career fairs and these conversations can be nerve-wracking, but just know that employers are just as excited to meet you, and we are looking for students to be authentic and genuine versus rehearsed or robotic in our conversations. This also comes with practice, so just really focus on being yourself and having a genuine conversation with employers. Staying organized and implementing some of these best practices will really help you kind of put yourself at ease and allow you to have the best representation of yourself and allow you to focus on how to best stand out. Now I will pass it back to Barb to cover the next steps in the career fair success cycle.
Hey, thanks, Caitlin. That's a great segue into our next point, which is demonstrating passion, which is it's really an important thing to do, throughout your conversations with employers. So let's take sports, for example. If you're a big sports fan, you may talk about your favorite team with a lot of excitement, passion, and enthusiasm. And there's just an energy that comes out when you are passionate about something. So I would encourage you to think about something you are personally passionate about, and think about how you talk about that, maybe with family members or friends. That's really the kind of energy and enthusiasm you should really bring to these conversations. So think about it. What tends to happen when you talk about something you enjoy, you naturally you smile. So smile as you speak. It goes a long way, again, with demonstrating your interest and engagement with the employer you're speaking with. Another piece we have of advice that we have is to talk like you're sharing a good story. So if you think about it, you're telling your story to the employer. We want to know about your past experience, really how you arrived to where you're at today. And if you tell a good story, on my end as a recruiter, it's helping me understand or learn a little bit more about you and maybe what opportunities we have that you might be a good fit for. Using a variety pace and an upbeat tempo would be our next tip. So be excited about what you talk about. If you enjoy the world of analytics and numbers, talk about it with the passion and excitement that you have, and that will go a long way. We're all excited about hiring people that we want that want to work at our company and in the field that they're studying or career field that they're pursuing. And then most importantly, be yourself. If you're more shy or soft-spoken, or maybe you would consider yourself a more introverted person, don't feel like you have to put on a facade to try to impress an employer. We want to understand who you are and what you bring to the table. And we're looking for all types of people to join our team. So don't feel like you have to fit into a certain mold to get a job or to stand out in the crowd. The best thing you can do is to be yourself. If we hire someone that we think is you, and at the end of the day, that's not really who you are, it probably won't be the right fit for you or the company. The best conversations are the ones where we can have an authentic conversation on things we are both excited about. And those are the ones that will be, those are the conversations that will be really memorable, to the recruiter. Okay. So in addition to demonstrating passion, another thing you can do is ask thoughtful questions. So here are a couple of prompts for you to think through to help you come up with the types of questions that you want to ask. So what matters to you in a company? Pause and think about that for a minute. There are a lot of great companies out there, and each company has different culture, different industries, philosophies, maybe organizational values or mission statements. There's such a variety out there. So what matters most is what's important to you. If you take the time to do that and to really think about what matters to you in a company, that will really help kind of frame up those thoughtful questions. And doing that in advance and being organized right will also be very helpful. And that will certainly show through, to the employer as well. You don't want to utilize that limited time you have with an employer talking about something that doesn't really matter to you or isn't very helpful for you to learn more about the company. We'll often get questions that are very common. And this can sometimes come across as if the student didn't really spend the time to think about what questions to ask. And, they often default to, what's your favorite part about working at Baird? And again, while I'm happy to share that with you, but if that might not be what matters most to you. And again, you're using up that precious time, learning about something that maybe, again, isn't useful to you. Another thing you could think about when looking to prepare those thoughtful questions is looking into current events or business trends, related to the company. Some of our favorite questions and conversations with students come from a question that is, very specific. It demonstrates that you've researched the company, you have maybe an understanding of what we do, and you've really connected the dots, and really, understanding how you can tie your interests with what matters to the company, so we can have an interesting conversation. We often think more about what we're going to say versus what we're going to ask. And I think that's something really important to think about. I'll repeat that one more time. We often think more about what we're going to say versus what we're going to ask. So again, figure out a way to tie your interest to the company. So one way to test if your question is a good one is maybe thinking about what can't you learn online? If you're asking questions you could have already learned, you could have already found out or learned about online, you're again really not maximizing the conversation you're having with the employer. You could have done that research ahead of time or even afterwards. So ask questions and leverage these questions beyond what you could learn on your own. That is really a great way to stand out. And then really the end point here is that this really is an underutilized opportunity to stand out among either career fair representatives or interviewers. It is very important to our recruiters and hiring leaders that candidates are always prepared with multiple questions and again, thoughtful questions. And it's really going to help you make a good impression, so that company will want to hire you. Okay. And then, to wrap up then, so how to close effectively. First, thank the employer for their time. There are a lot of things that they could be doing, especially if they're not within the HR space. So this is something that, a company representative could be doing in addition to their normal day job. So make sure to thank them for their time. If you are interested in the company, it's definitely, we definitely recommend stating that. So it could be something as simple as I really enjoyed the conversation with you today, Barb, and I'm even more interested than I was before, before we started the conversation about Baird. Those are things that are really helpful for us to hear as employers. And then confirm next steps. Never end a conversation without clarifying what the next step should be, whether that's following up and applying online, or if the employer will be following up with you, should you connect with them on LinkedIn, or, again, maybe go through the process of connecting or following the company on Handshake, or maybe interacting with them there. For employers and organizations you're really interested in or wishing to connect with, it's definitely appropriate to ask for the company representative's email. Some may choose not to share that information with you, and that's okay. But again, definitely appropriate for you to ask for that information. So again, if you're looking to reconfirm your interest in a company, and you want to follow up after the career fair, here are again some tips for you. So when you do reach out and follow up, if you can reference specifics from the conversation, that is very helpful. Again, we talk to so many people or students, and if you've done a lot of these things right that we've talked about today, it will definitely help you stand out. So again, it will make your follow-up have more impact and show that you've paid attention to the details of the conversation. And then again, in that follow-up, you again, mention specifics of the conversation, reiterate your skills and interests, and maybe even the positions that are of interest to you. And if it is an email follow-up, or even a LinkedIn message, highly recommend attaching a copy of your resume. Even though you may have already applied, that's really just a quick reference point, and really is helpful to the recruiter or employer representative if you have that attached. Okay. So again, just remember that employers are there to meet and learn about you just as much as you are there to meet and learn about them. So be relaxed, natural, and yourself. And this really comes with, as Caitlin mentioned earlier, preparing, practicing, and gaining experience. So that's the summary of what we have for you today in regards to preparation. We hope that if you can implement some of these steps, and again, that would be preparing effectively, making sure that you make a good first impression, establish rapport, demonstrate passion, ask thoughtful questions, and show curiosity, and then really close that conversation effectively. We believe it'll go a long way and help you be successful. So again, not only evaluating what company you're interested in, but making a great impression will give you the best shot at getting a role at the company you're most interested in. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin to close us out.
Excellent. Thank you, Barb. So we just wanted to, again, reiterate everything that we shared today in our session. We know that it's easier to always just hear the good advice than it is to actually implement it and put it into action. So our challenge for you is to really think of at least 1 to 2 takeaways that stood out to you and make a personal commitment to really implement those. You took the right steps to watch this session to help you get prepared for career fairs and campus events. And now taking it one step further and applying what you learned will really be helpful and really beneficial for yourself. And again, as we've said a few times throughout this session, the students that do truly stand out to employers are proactive, intentional, and really confident in themselves and their skills that they can bring to the table. So again, we hope this information will help you prepare and add to your success when meeting with employers at career fairs and campus events. And Barb and I and the rest of the Baird team, we look forward to seeing you all on campus this semester. So thank you so much for your time today.